Hello, everyone. We are pre-recording today, but let's dig in. Welcome to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. I'm your host, Brittney Ashley. As mentioned, I'm pre-recording because we have Family Day on Monday here in Canada. And so Nadine and I would like to take some time off and be with our loved ones. We are on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Get ready to escape the routine and join us for the next hour as we break norms and build dreams. Thanks for coming back, Nadine. I'm so excited to have you again.
Me too. Thank you for having me. And we have a wonderful topic today as well,
We
which I'm super excited
do.
about.
You all maybe have read the title. We're chatting about navigating parenthood and career transition, which is a big one, that's for sure. I'll just do a quick little bio on you, Nadine, and then get you to kind of state more if people have not even heard the other episodes, so they can still get to know you.
Sure.
Nadine is an international and certified coach helping ambitious moms get their mojo back, go after more, and the thing they can't stop thinking about, personalized one-on-one coaching experiences. Going at a pace that works for them, baby steps or giant leaps, moms feel more energized, confident, and powerful when they go for what they truly want. When Nadine doesn't power up, moms run their world with ease and passion. She's likely taken a moment for herself with reading books and family time in Vancouver, Canada, which we just mentioned is coming up on the 19th, which we'll be releasing this show. So if there is other comments that you, after listening to our pre-recorded show, please still leave them. We will circle back because Nadine's coming back in the next month. I can't even remember what month we're in. I'm not even joking. Just looking at my calendar here, I'm like, wait a minute, what month? Nadine's coming back in March.
Yeah, we're coming back in March. I'm super excited about this too, and thank you for having me back in the first place. I thoroughly enjoyed our first session, and it seems to have resonated with the listeners too. Looking at the listening in numbers just on StreamYard, it was kind of a super positive surprise. So hopefully this will be an equally valuable session, and with lots of takeaways and getting parents to take some action.
Yeah, I'm getting comfortable too for this discussion. So everybody who's like just coming in and not sure what to expect, sit comfortably because we're digging in deep today. As we mentioned, Nadine has been on the show prior, but maybe Nadine, just kind of do a little retake of what I just said there, just so people can understand who you are. I already know who you are because we've collaborated on so many different projects together. Right. That's why I'm super always pumped to have you in every month.
Yeah, well, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thankfully it's radio, not always just you see me blush. So yeah, I mean, you've said it all basically. I'm a mom, I'm a certified international coach. I coach many mothers, even though I did have actually some fathers recently too, which was super interesting. Coaching them on usually the things that they can't stop thinking about. Oh, I just mentioned, actually, in North America, I've got some clients in Europe, even someone in Australia, which I'm super stoked about. And so, yeah, I'm coaching them on usually it's the thing they can't stop thinking about. So just recently I talked with someone, it's like, I've had this idea about running my own business for a long time, but they were in a corporate position. And then things started shifting and they're like, you know what, actually, what if I do that thing? And they've been running their business successfully for quite a while. And so this is usually where the sweet spot, the time when I come in. It's like some external or some sort of like crossroads in your life where it's like, oh, what if there is more? There has to be more than this gray grind. There has to be a bit more passion and life here. And so whether that's, staying with corporate career, getting back into that, climbing up the career ladder, doing your own thing, not going back to the workplace after, maybe maternity leave or any sort of other things. This is where I usually come in and I get, as you can hear right now, super excited. Yeah. About that. And it's very fulfilling work for myself as well.
I love that. And I definitely agree with you about coaching. I love coaching so much.
Mm.
I love to be able to, because I do wear many hats when I do coach. So I talk with the particular person I'm coaching with. I'm like, oh, we're in the coaching realm, or do you need this strategic hat here? And then I
Mhm.
go organically through each kind of session. But I love to put more of the coaching hat, because sometimes we get so caught up in the craziness in the world. Sometimes we forget to think for ourselves, or we're get kind of influenced by other opinions and all of that. We sometimes kind of get jungled up and not really understanding or being in alignment to our true values. Um,
That's so powerful about coaching, right? It's like, and especially, I want to say, as parents, when everything is just loud, like literally, you have your kids screaming around and running around, you have your business, maybe your boss is around, then you have your own thoughts that are just like, I should have done all of this, my,
yeah,
never ending to-do list. So it's all just very loud constantly. And with coaching, it's taking a step back and it's like, actually, hang on, what do I truly want? Right? What actually really resonates with me? And it's like tuning out all the all the noise, and even our own like self-sabotaging thoughts sometimes, like, I could never do this, or I should have known better, and all of a like, let's get rid of all that stuff,
it's
and
so.
really look at what deeply resonates.
Mhm. I love that you're saying that you're coaching with dads now too, because that's the way I think we need to kind of open up a little bit more. Yes, it's usually moms that take the kiddos, but we're seeing more of the norm of also dads coming in to a
Mhm.
there's split. I know we have somebody on the team that did 6 months with the little one right after he was born, and then at the 6 month part, the dad came in,
Mhm.
and I personally want to see more. I'm kind of going to challenge some listeners here. If you're a dad, building that community, because I think there's a lot more mom community, women communities out there that I think sometimes dads get kind of not left behind, but they're a little bit more quiet, reserved sometimes. Um, so it would be nice to see that come forward a little bit more for them as
Mhm.
well, to have that space to
For
talk.
sure. And specifically also in relationship to our topic today about,
Mhm.
career changes. And we're going to talk about it later on, building your support network around it. And obviously one of those things, if you are in a male-female relationship,
Mhm.
is that it also needs to be made easier for fathers to come in and take over that role and have the support. And it's not just mom and baby group, it's parent
Mhm.
and baby groups, right? It's having, at a very basic level, changing facilities at male bathrooms.
Yeah.
It's like more paid paternity leave,
Mhm.
lots of different things that will essentially also make it easier for, say, the mothers to step up and go after what they really want in their careers. But I know it's kind of sidestepping. We haven't really planned about talking
No,
about that, and I don't necessarily advertise that I'm like focusing on fathers, coaching fathers as well. But something about the messaging seems to be resonating, and then it's like, yeah, sure.
that's amazing, because I do think it's needed for sure for them.
Hmm.
Um, I do know, like, I was completely one-on-one with my daughter, so it was a maternity leave. It was just me and her. But then when we had my second, it was just a different dynamic. We were just trying to figure out, because I started my business, so it's like, well, what does that look like? And luckily here in Canada, we do have maternity leave, and we were able to tap into it. And my husband has a good job, so we were able to make it work. Um, so it would be nice to kind of see, like, maybe like in different health centers too, to have that kind of like mini community versus just women, because I do see that that piece is more tailored to women, which is great. We do need it too. I'm not saying that, but it's just would be nice to have to see the both, especially
Yeah.
the you mentioned like the change room stalls. It's so true. Um, I know I was out. I think I was dealing with one of the kiddos, and My husband's like, I'll just go take them in. He's like, never mind, you have to go deal with it because there's no change rooms. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's
oh,
like very simple things, right?
yeah.
It's like accessibility. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to dig in today. So, as we mentioned, navigating parenthood and career transitions. So many places we can go here. One of the questions is how do you define bold moves in the context of navigating parenthood and professional aspirations?
Mm-hmm.
One,
So bold moves is usually something that goes against the expectations, and it means something different for someone else, because it's a scale, right? For someone a bold move might be if they've been a, say, very successful corporate person, not to actually go back, but really relishing and enjoying being a stay-at-home parent. And it's like, okay, that's what you want to do. That's like a bold move. For
mhm,
others, it might be, I don't know, it might be that you've been caring for your family and everyone else 24/7. And after being a stay-at-home mom for a while, you now want to start your own business. Or you've been with the same company or even say the same career for 10 years out
yeah.
or plus, and you suddenly like, actually, I don't enjoy it anymore. I want something else, like
Mhm.
ditching career, like totally changing careers, or the company that everyone thought you were gonna eventually retire in, or any of those things. So going against expectations and yeah, from people around you, but also maybe your own expectations as well. When you start saying, oh yeah, maybe I should be doing those things and stay on, or maybe I should be going back to that same workplace, or, not apply for that leadership position, etc. So any of those things, when it's like, oh, maybe I should be doing this, like, no, don't. It's like, what do you truly want? And that's where this we come back to what I mentioned earlier, is like the listening into your own needs, and what is it that you actually truly want. You don't
Exactly.
have to necessarily think about how you're going to make it happen, but just defining what that is that you want is the first step.
Exactly. I find like when I was ready to make a bold move, when I was in the organization, it was really hard. Um, it was kind of like I know that I wasn't happy, all the things, and luckily I end up having my daughter to make me figure out what bold moves I need to make.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain things that I was able to kind of navigate myself as as I kind of gone through the motion. But I maybe you have some tips on just having if a parent, mom, dad is thinking of making that bold move of what that could even look like. For me personally, I think of just taking that time to reflect is important because maybe you're not happy. Maybe it's toxic, or maybe it's a great work environment and you're just not challenged enough and you don't even know what to go to the next steps are. So it's kind of like I don't want to say maybe it is a pros and cons list. What do you think?
It can be as simple as that, yes. But usually it needs to go a bit deeper. So for sure, on the pros and cons list, you'd have things like, am I going to be paid enough to pay my bills?
Mhm.
Is this actually something where I'm safe? Is the environment something where I can flourish and where I can actually thrive, or is this a toxic thing? So it's very like surface level things. But the clarity and about that and the deeper things actually is super, super important, and something that I always tap in as one of the very first things when I start working with new clients is this self-awareness and what's going on. So why do you want to make that move?
Mhm.
What's really behind it? If it's purely on, say, the money side of things, that's cool too, if you're okay with it and it's a mindful thing
Mhm.
and you're knowing everything else works out too. Fair enough. Because you need to pay you need to pay bills too. But if you are already at crossroads and you do have a choice of where you can go, or you have a moment to really figure out not to do more of the same, only to end up in a different shade of gray
Yeah.
job. It's like really dig a bit deeper. And so knowing your why, what are your strengths, what are your passions, and it's mainly coming down to something that sometimes sounds very woo, I found, especially specifically with people who haven't had coaching before or not really in that realm, is to know what you value. What are your personal values? What do you value in life? What's important to you in life?
Mhm.
So that could be something like, hey, I want autonomy and freedom.
Yeah.
What does that look like? You really value being able to move forward in your career and learn something around it. Or you maybe value family life. So if you value family life in your personal life, you're likely going to be very unhappy in a company that pays you lots of money, but you're away for 5 days out of the week. So knowing your values and aligning your decisions with them usually means that you'll be happier in the long term as well. It helps you make tougher decisions because it's like you're aligned. Essentially, you'll live a more fulfilled life if you're basing your decisions on what you actually value in your life. And if you've done something like those before, those exercises or something like that in the past, they tend to change and shift a bit, especially during early parenthood, later on as well. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the conversation Kiki was in last week, and just more or less chatting about it takes time also to find yourself and building that confidence. And when she's creating a huge event across Canada, I'm so excited to see how this takes off. And it's just really finding your inner confidence and being you, that pretty much I would like to say that unapologetically you, authentically you stepping in, because then you have that realm of confidence. And so imposter syndrome doesn't even exist anymore. By the way, it will always exist, but you're just learning how to quiet those thoughts.
Yeah.
And you're able to tap more and be like, you know what, I'm going to stand up and say that these are wrong in the workforce, or I'm not going to, even if you're not in a workforce and you have your own business, you set boundaries and you're going to show up and feel more confident and more aligned to those thoughts, and you're going to be more empowered.
Absolutely. Yes. And with knowing what you value, what's important to you in life, especially at this time of this stage of your life, it gives you a sense of stability. It's like, that's why I wasn't happy in this job. This is why I feel drawn to those types of things. It's that clarity and that awareness goes quite a long way. And it's also amazingly great for stress management as well, because you just know it's like, this is why I make decisions. This is all in alignment. And the more you live in that and you show up more authentically you, and you stay taking steps towards that ambitious goal that you have, the more confident you will gain in that. It takes a bit of initial courage to kind of step out on that, but the courage will come as you do as well. But it's one of apart from the clarity piece, the confidence boosts are some of the first topics we'll talk about. I'm usually talking about with parents as well. Clarity, what do you value? Why do you want to do it? Setting up a plan, and then confidence boosts, and always showing up, okay, this is the progress you're making. And initial leaning out and then just going for it.
Yes. What do you think some common challenges ambitious moms face when trying to balance their professional goals and their roles as a parent?
Well, it can be tough, can't it? But, if the current situation isn't working for you, at some stage, that bubble is just going to burst anyway. It's just going to. If it's not working, you might as well take a step right now rather than for it to kind of just burst at times when it's not working. So it's taking charge now of the situation and what's going on, and being very mindful about where you are at your stage. Again, being mindful about the impact that, say, a career change might have. What is your why? Why are you doing it? It's like that deeply connecting, because it will keep you on track.
Yeah.
And essentially it will have an impact on the family dynamic. It will just like either you'll have more time or time at different places, you'll shift some things around your routine, it will just have an impact. And the more you're aware of, again, the clarity piece, the more you're aware of what impact that might have, a new job or even looking for one or starting your own business, the more you can then take steps towards it. So if you're, say, the default parent and you've always had lots of flexibility around when you're picking up the kids, where you're going, last minute, everything that just comes up, and you're always being able to reflect on it, it might not necessarily be the case for the first year or two that much anymore when you're having your own business. It may or may not impact that way. But it's important to be aware of what the impact might be. And the way to overcome this, in my experience, is the anticipating it, making a plan for it, and communicating it, ideally with everyone else in the household. So even toddlers, you can say, I'm not able to bring you to daycare anymore in the morning, or to, this time it's going to be, your partner who is going to do it, or you'll stay there longer or shorter. You can bring everyone in and say, hey, what do you think is a good way to do this? Is everyone taking turns making dinner now? Because you have teens in the household and they also need to learn how to cook. So every teen is, taking over. Yeah.
Gonna make me some food.
Exactly. So, it's like, or household chores, or, maybe you're now setting up a, what do you call that? Like a group of people who drive kids from one place to another. It's like all parents come together basically, and they take turns. Yeah, carpool, that thing. Everyone takes turns now to drive the neighborhood kids to the next match or whatever. So brainstorm together. I think anticipating is good. Clarity, anticipating, planning for it, get everyone on board.
Yes.
And see it through together. You might never know what's coming up and how it might free up some time, energy, resources. What do you think?
100% agree on all of that. And also, like, communication is so big. And also, like I've mentioned before, of like giving yourself grace, because you're not going to figure it out right away.
Absolutely.
And I find that there's a lot of pressure in society of like, go to high school, go to college, go get that career, and you're good for the rest of your life, and then retire. Like, that does not exist like it used to. But the thing is, and then I don't even want to say it's a millennial thing, it's a Gen X. I do not like to stereotype, because everybody's so different. We have our own groove, and for us to just be like, oh, that's a millennial thing, like that's like my biggest pet peeve. I can't stress this enough. I'm like, you can't just say because I'm a millennial because X, Y, and Z. But the thing is that we're starting to realize, as the world has shifted, as just the trends have gone and all the things, people are starting to wake up and realize, you know what, I want work-life balance. I want to be able to drop my kids off at these times and be that person to pick up. You know what, I want these things. You know what, I want to start my own business because I've now realized I can put in for my own benefits, still have all the things, and be successful. So looking at what defines success for you, I think, is a big thing. And then also too is the communication, like I mentioned, but giving yourself grace of figuring it out through the chaos. Because I know I joke that I'm a lifetime hippie of not figuring out what I want to do. And I'm still trying to figure it out. everyone's like, you have all these things, but it's like, no, I'm still figuring it out, but I'm finally on the right path. But I have been in so many different jobs because I just didn't know why it didn't resonate with me or what was in alignment. And it's because I didn't have a coach. And I love coaches, by the way, now. Every coach needs a coach.
Yes.
um, you kind of have like that kind of conversation and to open the mind a bit more and dig deeper. And it's also self-discovery of finding how to navigate your own emotions as well and how to articulate them.
Absolutely. It's the what kind of came to mind when you were saying all of this is being comfortable with kind of being uncomfortable and figuring it out, especially if you've always been someone who's kind of figured it out by yourself and then,
100%.
now what, right? You're going through it and you're like, oh, so there's more learning here. There's more that I didn't know. I didn't even know that I didn't know these types of things. And being okay with getting it wrong and learning from it and then starting again, adjusting and taking it up. And yes, it totally does get easier when you're having a coach there who's supporting you through the challenges, or when life happens and the deadlines you set for yourself aren't maybe necessarily, driving you nuts, but you're your own worst enemy sometimes in this. There's like lots of different things. So self-compassion, giving yourself grace, and you're learning it. It's a constant journey of discovery and learning, for sure. There was just something I wanted to say. Oh yeah, around something came up when I first came to Canada. I was looking, like, I had a job, a leadership job in a corporate career. So I led my own teams, a hiring manager, led an internal women's business network. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do more of the same, but I'll find a company that really like resonates with me, and I'll just do that over here in Canada. And it just didn't, nothing really kind of fit for months. And eventually I got a coach, and I was like, you know what? But also there's this thing I couldn't stop thinking about, which was starting my own career. I just didn't know in what, like, how do I, like, what would I run my business on? And like, what was that? And I've done a bit of like self-discovery. These are all the things that I want. These are the things that I don't want. And eventually the idea came to me it's not actually the job that I have right now, but it's very related. And it came to me in the shower, and I knew right away, it's like, that idea is exactly what I was looking for. I was terrified. I actually said out loud to myself in the shower, I know we can't swear here. I was like, there was no way I could not go after what my idea was, because it literally ticked all the boxes, but I had transferable skills, but no way to run my own business. I was like, how do I do this? But I was like, I was super excited about it. By the way, it was a company, it was a coaching community. So I supported other coaches. It was a huge network. Well, huge, but we had our own podcasts and stuff like that, lots of events, and I loved it until I was like, now I want to do the coaching. I want to support clients directly. Anyways, I was freaking out, but I knew if I didn't go for it, I would always regret it. I would always be like, what if? Why didn't I do it? So this is where, like, I've been there, done this, and I want to make sure everyone else is going to follow their dreams and their passions. That's what I'm here for.
Love that. It's so true. And that's the whole premise. Like, even like, as some of you can see, like, I stumble on words because I'm super, like, I hate reading in public. Like, I know it's just you and I, my brain, like, I just going back in like high school flashes of like reading and learning how to read still, because I was struggling with dyslexia. And so I get really caught up in words, and then my brain goes like spirals out of control. But it's me pushing myself because I know I can do it. It's just like building that confidence as well. And I know, like, once I built that confidence after doing a few shows, it's going to be like nothing for me. But right now I'm still like, oh my goodness, like shaking the paper. I know it's just us, but there's other people listening.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know it's just us, not. But I also love that you're just you're very unapologetic around it. It's like, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is how I'm still rocking life and parenthood and my career. And you just go for it. I love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I'm so excited to dig in deeper because we're almost at the 30-minute marks here. So for those just tuning in, you're listening to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. We are live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network 105.3 and 107.7 in New Orleans. Let's get into some practical tips and strategies, if that's okay with you. Kind of dig a little bit deeper on that. I know we did a high level, but maybe we can. So one of the questions we have is, can you share some practical tips for ambitious parents considering making career transitions to managing their family responsibilities? I know we talked about communication, but is there any other ones? I know you and I have talked about technology before. So we can, is there anything else that kind of comes to mind there?
Yeah. So for one, I like you and me both know from own experience. If you're going to have a full-time career or career change and you're parenting as well, there's only so much time, energy, and resources that we both have. So it's kind of be quite tight, and we want to be mindful about how we're spending that time, right? And very honestly about the energy too. You only have so much energy left in the day with all of it. And so one of the ideas is to absolutely build out your support network. That includes I know we're going into this deeper too, but obviously maybe mentor, coach, people around you that are very supportive. The other thing around it would be specifically if there's very tight on time and energies, baby steps, break it down. Don't go say, I'm going to have a new job by next week. Yeah. It's okay, what can you start with? Look at those baby steps. So support network, baby steps. Again, the clarity is what do you want, and make a plan around it. So you're not doing all the things and they're not aligned, but it's what do you want? And then the plan to make that happen. So you're not necessarily throwing spaghetti at the wall, even though sometimes that is very necessary as well to see what actually resonates if you don't have any idea. And the clarity is difficult to get to. But making a plan around the thing that you really want absolutely helps, and then keeps you on track, which leads to the other thing that you've just mentioned, I think is very important too, which is time blocking. And put everything in the calendar, everything in the calendar, starting with your own personal things. So birthday parties, shopping, family time, going to, hang out with other people and families, your own self-care time that you need as a parent, everything that fills your own cup, put that in the calendar and then fill it out and set your schedule. And have some buffers in there.
Yes,
flexibility.
We chatted about that last show, and that's I guess this show's also about what are Brittney's pet peeves. Going on another tangent of my pet peeves is when you book in with somebody, maybe it's a new business or whichever, and their booking system doesn't book it within your calendar, or they're like, I'll book for you and send you the link. And it's no. I'm so busy. I try to do 15-minute intervals for different meetings. I scatter them throughout the week because I can only really work from 9 to 2. So if you're not giving me a link to share it in my calendar, I won't be at that meeting. I can guarantee you. I'm archive. I don't know what you feel about that.
Yeah, make it easy for the other person. It's for everyone, even for yourselves. If you don't have it in your calendar, I put everything in. I have a shared calendar with my husband who's also working from home. And I have his work meetings, my work meetings. Obviously, coaching is confidential. So it just says coaching session. No names or anything. But I know it's like he knows, okay, the office, confidential stuff, da-di-da. I know when things are going on, everything is in there.
Mm.
When someone is calling or supposed to call someone or something, when someone's coming around, it's just, it makes it, just make it easy on yourself. It's like those systems, using apps, if there's a Todoist app or there's time blocking app, there's an app to not let you use any social media for a certain time so you don't waste your time, and keeps you on track. I was like, all of those things make it easy on you to stay focused, and not like show up and like really mindfully spend your time focused on the things that matter to you at the time. I think that really helps. And because life happens, specifically with kids around, there's always something happening. It's good to be generous with your own timelines that you're setting yourself, and have buffers in there, just some flex time. Not like back-to-back meetings usually isn't a good idea in my experience, even though they do happen.
And if you're navigating through a career transition I personally don't like time blocks, but I like to kind of more or less list out things I have to do in the day. I kind of work a little bit better on that. But just if you're in a career transition, listing out maybe like having 15 minutes a day to reflect on what career do I want, what direction I want to go into, what are my values, what are my boundaries, because then you're going to help give that time for yourself to do a little bit more self-discovery as well. Like I'm still learning. I'm the kind of person that takes on like 100 billion things, and to have self-care day. This is, by the way, we're filming on Valentine's Day. So happy self-love day. I like to say, is just having those times for you so you can kind of have that big reflection. So maybe some people might not have the ability or costs to hire a coach. So having like those little moments for you to self-reflect, meditate, or whichever is in alignment to you. Like for me, going out for walks, I personally like for quiet time, hiking or whichever. For me, for meditation, Kiki was talking about it last show. All I could think about, because she was saying you have to turn off your brain. Like, how does that even work?
Right.
How do you turn off the chaos in the brain, especially with somebody who's self-diagnosed with ADHD?
Right. So, and that's where it fits in with it's always so noisy around us and in our own head, that sometimes we can't even we can't hear what our heart or our gut is telling us, what our gut feeling is saying, because it's just constantly on high alert. And it's the reflection part I really like as well. For sometimes it doesn't necessarily even have to be 15 minutes. It's like starting just grab any sort of paper or an app, or where you put in notes, and like a gratefulness journal, like 2 minutes in the evening, or what you enjoyed about today. When you're starting your day over a cup of coffee, jot down the 3 things, and this is a real challenge, 3 things that you're going to accomplish that day with your work, with your, say, job change. What are 3 things you want to concentrate on, and not writing a resume from scratch, changing all my LinkedIn profile and applying for 10 jobs. That's just not going to happen. You need to break it down, right? It's like, I would love to see the person who can do a resume in one day. It's just not going to happen. But it's like, break it down. What are 3 actionable things that you can actually achieve on the day? Set yourself up for success. Be focused on those things.
I feel like lately I'm like the resume queen. All my friends come to me. If this is live, they'd be commenting, being like, yeah, she does. I do everybody's resume.
Lucky for your friends. I'm having those I'm having those things as a service on my website. It's like resume audits for LinkedIn profiles, and interview prep.
Yeah, I guess somehow I naturally incurred this piece. The funny thing is that I love doing it for everybody. I'm like, yeah, you should go do X, Y, and Z. You'll be so good at this. And then we sit down and do all the things. And then they all end up getting like jobs into the government or whichever. When
Mhm.
I was trying to apply to the government, I got like crickets. I'm like, what is wrong?
It's always so much better and easier when you're doing it for others than for
Right?
yourself, right? It's the thing about getting your own coaching questions thrown back at you. It's like, oh, I know.
I know. I'm like, no, don't you coach me right now.
Yep.
So funny. Um,
Oh.
what are
By
some
the way, for anyone who's listening in and who is a coach or who, this is a real thing. It's a thing about, coaches having coaches because everyone needs one in our opinion. But then also, not liking the coaching questions. It's
yes.
a it's a thing.
And it's important to really find the one that resonates with you. I had that
Yeah.
discussion with Nicole, one of our lives here. I think it was the second episode, and just kind of like navigating the red flags of coaching. And I
Mm.
dug a little bit deeper. What is coaching? What's consulting? And all that. And I really stated like you and I both see Lindsay, who is also coming in the show, but not until April. Uh,
Yay!
I'm so excited. It's going to be a fiery one, I feel.
Oh, that's wonderful. I can't
Uh,
wait.
but they are just, I just love working with them so much. I just love their passion, their love of just helping other people. And not only that, like understanding somebody with ADHD to
Mhm.
neurodiversity and all the things. Like it's just, I've been through like the ringer, and they are more considered of like sales consultant. Like, but I call them a coach. I'm like, I don't care. I'm calling you a coach because you can call out my stuff when I need to be called out on, and bring questions back when it needs to be brought back to me, and
Yeah.
all the things. And like I already said to them, I'm like, I hope you like me because you're stuck with me for life now. But it's really big for anybody out there thinking of any kind of career transitions or anything like that, thinking about finding a coach that kind of really focuses into these areas. Because, and if you just don't give them, I don't know, maybe you have an idea on this, Nadine, of like how many chances should you give a coach that you're just kind of like testing the waters with? Because everybody has different packages.
It's difficult for me. The messaging has to resonate, and there has to be a personal connection. It's not necessarily like to be best friends. That's not what this is about. But it's more about, do I we're coming back to the values. It's like, what do I value? What do I want out of this? And
Yeah.
is this person a good fit? Sometimes I've had coaches I sought out because they kind of scared me. But I knew that I needed that
Mm-hmm.
for the particular topics that I was going for. Sometimes I need a more compassionate coach because of some personal things that I was going through. Sometimes it's someone who's a bit more, can give me a kick in the butt and just say, hey, come on, let's do this.
Yeah.
So it needs to resonate for it's like, I think one try is enough, to be
Mhm.
honest. It's like, where else? It's something so personal. There needs to be a good fit. And if you don't have a good gut feeling for whatever reason, like I wouldn't necessarily stick around. So just listen maybe to some of their podcasts. If you've seen them on video, look at some of the packages they're offering, their messaging. Maybe most coaches actually offer a quick free call to see if there's an alignment. And if you have a bit of a feeling, don't go for it. It's usually not paying off, neither for the coach nor for the for the coachee. So if you can't feel, it's like, oh yeah, that's someone I can truly open up to and be honest with, and you're always holding part of yourself back, no, just try the next coach.
Yeah.
That would be my experience. What about you?
Yeah. well, because I've been through a lot of coaches, and I did pay a lot of money, and that's something that Nicole and I chatted about, and while we joke that we're the most expensive friends, but we found each other on the journey. Sometimes you have to look at the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
But really, I think too, like I do 100% agree with what you're saying there too. Like with Lindsay, I was constantly like watching. Like I feel like just like a creep saying this, but I was always watching what they were posting. I was in their group. I wasn't sure, and so I ended up picking this other person completely because I didn't know that Lindsay assisted with maybe some of these topics that I was struggling with. And so that's why I picked this particular person. And it was all about, I'm going to get you. And that's the big thing is there's so many coaches out there, like when you're starting a business, I'm going to get you to your 10K figure.
Oh my God. Give me a break.
It's like when you're starting your business, like you're like, oh, that sounds pretty. But, you know, I've now learned, and that's one of the reasons why I became a business coach as well. I go between the two, but I do not state anything like that because that does not resonate with what I'm trying to do.
It's important we talk about money, and
Yes.
we will have a session on this.
Yes.
We will talk about it, maybe with an extra guest in. But yeah, it has to resonate. Like, is it an authentic thing? Is it something that you really feel comfortable with? And I always see, and actually that's what I'm saying to my clients as well. I want to be part of your mom village, your parent village, and the extensions. Like I'm an extension of your support system. And it's so important to have people around you who are supporting you, who can tell you yes or no to your face, even though that's maybe not what you want to hear. And just be open and honest with. Maybe take you for a ride. You might be, you know, emotional one day and the other one you're celebrating and the person is your biggest cheerleader. You want someone like that on your side. And sometimes, especially when you're a parent, it's important to have people around you, if you possibly can, that are supporting you in some ways. So sometimes sometimes it's support in the form of them just listening to you vent or them being able to once that week pick up your kid from school on your behalf. So a support system could be, you know, your own family, friends, it could be neighbors, could be another parent at school. At work, that could be it could be maybe your own manager if you're already in a company. It could be a mentor, a sponsor at work. Obviously, a coach, we've talked about that already. If you have internally in your corporation an employee engagement network, so for instance, like a business women's network or a parenting network within your company, that's a huge support system that you have right there. Others could be networking groups or professional groups in your area. Lots of things that if you're just very mindful around what type of support do you need, and then seek those out, those support systems, and build up your own, I want to call it mom village. I think that would be very beneficial to
I think
you're going for what you want.
Mom village. I even challenge those dads listening to create their own village. Because what's a better way to break down those barriers of stepping it and doing more of that? Because I think it's needed. I feel like we all have our like close friends and all of that, but it's nice to have also too like the village that has other kiddos and experience as well, that they can like, oh, I'm going through X, Y, and Z with my 5-year-old. What are your intakes? And obviously take things with a grain of salt as well.
Absolutely.
Let's dig into a little bit of maintaining an individuality and professional image. How about you share any kind of significant personal branding and professional images that ambitious parents navigating career transition can maintain a sense of style and confidence?
I think it's so individual, especially
Yes.
the style part. And I'm just thinking what I was wearing when I had a 1-year-old, it
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily considered stylish. And I was glad it was during the pandemic and everyone could just see, top part, and you didn't know. It's like you were still wearing
Didn't know
PJ
what you were wearing.
bottoms. Exactly. And the floor was scattered with like kids' toys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's very individual around the style question, I find.
Mhm.
What stage in your parenthood are you at? What's your business? What's required by your business? How do you want to lean into that requirement or stand out because of that, right? Do you want to make a statement?
Yeah.
Is it important? Is it something that resonates with you? So that's where I don't necessarily have a clear cut answer. Recently, I've actually for myself looked
Mhm.
into like a personal stylist or someone who is more not necessarily stylist, but someone who can just tell me, okay, the colors that you've been wearing recently, like, I like going for some comfy dark blues and blacks every now and
Mhm.
then, but hey, here I show up with navy and some bright turquoise in it. I
Yes.
have no idea. It's like just instead of me scouring the internet and figuring out is that something for me or not. It's like, give me a professional opinion and I'm done with it.
Right?
But I don't know if that's something that I may have done a couple of years ago. So it's a very individual thing, and it also
Mm.
depends where you want to go, what's important to you.
Yeah.
So not just necessarily for the sake of it, do it. Personal branding is also like how you show up. Is it necessary for you? Is it
Mhm.
not, like for the job that you're doing or not
Mhm.
wanting to do? Um, and yeah, I mean, just last week, actually, I was moderating a session at the Women in Tech conference here in Vancouver, and the session was actually around creating a LinkedIn profile and creating that professional network
Mhm.
online that will actually give you a job and stand out. And I was doing some coaching around it and LinkedIn audits right there on spots. And it's like there's so much that you can look out for. And
Mhm.
there's definitely some rules and things that are more effective than others.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also something you can have fun with. It's
Mhm.
not supposed to be a drag or chore. It's like, hey, this is important to me because of XYZ, and this is how I want to show up. So again, the clarity piece comes in. It's like the reason for why you want to do it. How do you want to show up?
Yes.
Um, and then going for it.
Yeah.
Having a
I
bit of
know
fun.
there's
I think we all need a bit more fun. It's like,
there
why not?
is. And maybe do research within your local community, because I know we have, for example, a non-for-profit that helps women to transition into careers, and they dress them up so they
Yes.
feel confident in their interview. So try seeing what's within your local community, because you just never know. Um, you might not even thought of it, to be honest. So like
Yeah.
I know that I ended up stumbling on this non-for-profit a while back, and I was like, oh, that's
Very.
I love that. I love that. I love finding these neat little non-for-profits, and I love to promote.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's another network, right? It
Mhm.
comes back to having your support network there as well, because it's that particular charity that you're referring to. There's lots of other resources available within that network as well. And you're meeting other people who are, who you can support and lift each other up.
Yeah. On that piece on resources, because I'm just looking at our time here, we're almost at time.
Wow.
Maybe we should share some resources for anybody navigating career transitions, and I'll just throw up here in the banner some
Oh, yeah.
resources.
Yeah. So I on my website have a roadmap for moms, 5-step roadmaps to get to get more clarity around creating the life that you really want. Um, Part of that would also be so talking you through that.
Mhm.
But even if you're outside of that, I would say taking first steps to creating your support network, I think, is another resource that I would tap into on top of exploring your values. What do you really want? What's important to you right now in that particular life stage in your life? It's obviously something that we can do as coaches too. That's something I regularly get my clients through and explore that. But those would be the top three things. What about you?
Well, I
That came with the deep.
I was like, where do I begin, everyone?
Right?
Resources are great to know. Like, really, like we stressed this a little bit on our last few shows about coaches needs coaches, coaches find a coach. I don't want to push people into the coaching realm. Like, see if it's meant for you, but think of different areas of where you can get that extra support is really good. Sometimes some people just like to use Google. So it's really the matter of thinking of what you feel comfortable with. Try it out. Try not to say no right away, I would say. Because if you've never worked with a coach, and I find when I take on new clients and I'm like, do you know what coaching is? And it's actually, I have to like really educate clients on, okay, no, sorry, I'm not supposed to give you advice here. That's all you. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, if you want my consulting hat on, let's go. But no, this is like your space of thinking, processing things, and really getting to that goal in the end. So try it out. See if it works for you. If not, there's so many different things that are out there for you.
Exactly. And they're just what you said, basically. try it out, get your support network in line, and start from there.
Yes. And I've put the resources within the banner here if anyone's looking to download what Nadine has. But with that, we are wrapping up. So thank you for those who are tuning into the show. As mentioned, this is pre-recorded on the 14th, but still good content. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you to United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. For next week, we have Sarah on the show. She has not been on the show yet. I'm really excited to have her. And we are talking about rewriting wellness narratives. So thank you, everyone, for coming to listen. Nadine is coming back in March. And please keep on listening and leave your comments.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.